And so they're trying to bring a ecumenical movement here of all churches, and a part of it is this going in and talking with the pastors, telling them that guns are bad, they're evil, they should be willing to turn them in. And all of this is from a program, a written paper by Major Peters, and he put it, it was called Warrior Class. He said that patriots and those who would hold out for nationalism, who believed in God and the Bible, were now to be considered an enemy doctrine. And therefore, anybody that holds out and wants America to remain free and outside the New World Order, anybody that wants to have a free reign of Christianity in America, they are the enemies. Any patriot is the enemy.
And I agree, the Jesuits are right at the top of the New World Order. Tell us about them.
Well, Bill Clinton said that his mentor was the late Professor Carroll Quigley of Georgetown University, which is a Jesuit university. He wrote a huge book, Tragedy and Hope. And in there, he said that he was an insider for 25 years. He saw their books. He knew their plan, what their purpose was. And he said the entire world was going to be controlled from your birth to your death. Everything was going to be controlled. Well, this is nothing but pure socialism, and then you want to throw in a little fascism because of the corporate structure that's going to be with this New World Order. And so, but the thing is, the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, they and the Knights of Malta all have sworn allegiance that they are trying to get every sand of grain, sand of, piece of sand on earth, all land masses and the people that inhabit them, to turn back to the Catholic Church. And the present Pope actually stated, and all of us know it if we watch the news, and he said that the Protestants and anybody that was not a Catholic was defective in doctrine and needed to come back to them. Well, that's a problem for me because I believe he's the defect and not the Bible, and that's what we go by. And so the Society of Jesus is working in secret. They go out and infiltrate all types of businesses, organizations, universities, and so on, and even churches.
Now, getting back to the on-the-ground manifestation of this, preachers call me all the time. I get little news articles here and there, but most of them are afraid to come on. But, again, we have the documents. It's admitted. It's been on the news. I mean, how does a preacher get approached with a government, hey, we want you to tell your flock to submit to government and go to FEMA camps, and when there's an emergency, tell them to go to the sports stadium and turn their guns in, and then FEMA just leased in Des Moines, Iowa, the huge stockyards, the cattle yards, and they admitted for putting people in it. I mean, it's a bad Twilight Zone episode.
Right, and I don't understand why any minister who's worth his salt would stand up. Well, really, you got to take a break?
Yeah, we do. Stay there. I want to come back and talk more about Romans 13 because I've had police tell me, they go, it is of the Lord, do whatever I say. But if that was the case, we'd have had no founding fathers. I mean, why did Jesus then not follow the government's orders? I mean, it's just made up. But we have a pastor on with us. David J. Smith has a national television program as well, 3 times a week. We'll be talking to him in just a moment. Look, we know there's a New World Order. We know that every major organization is controlled by the New World Order. All the big institutions. We know that now. Let's move on to fighting their program, standing up against it, resisting it. David J. Smith, you were making a point.
In Romans 13, it basically states that we are to obey the law unless it requires us to violate God's law. Now, plus basically, our forefathers gave us a republican form of government, a constitution and a Bill of Rights to protect us from tyranny. It was supposed to be our representatives in Washington that would balance the executive department and then the judiciary. They would balance each other. But when the President of the United States and previous presidents have packed the courts with liberals, and they always interpret the law instead of become a strict constitutionalist, then they're the traitors, not the average American person. And so they are the ones that should be held accountable. But,
and I want to be clear here. On its face, it is so asinine to say, worship all authority, do whatever it says, it's all of God. And I have a bunch of preachers on national TV I can play clips of going off their government talking points. I mean, all authority. That means Pol Pot. That means Vlad the Impaler. That means Adolf Hitler. That means Mao Zedong. That means just everybody. That means King George III. I mean, that's to say, then they say our Congress should do what the president says because he's of God. But wait, they're co-equal in authority. I mean, it is such a, and I've read all of that chapter. They just take Romans 13 out of context, but balanced against the rest of the Bible, the whole Bible, Old and New Testament, is about standing up against tyranny and being thrown in the lion's den or in a furnace or being crucified upside down or having your eyeballs poked out or being burned at the stake. But no, they say no, it's about doing what you're told.
No, that means that you have nothing but sheep that are led to the slaughter, when it should not be that way. Now, I don't necessarily advocate taking up guns and go around shooting people that are a part of the government and that kind of thing.
No, only in defense. If they're putting you on FEMA trailers, you can't let them take your children.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, okay, it's true, you're a terrorist if you talk about the Bill of Rights or Constitution, and yeah, they're saying, yeah, you got FEMA video of them teaching this. Maybe we should. Maybe it's bad. It's of the Lord. Let's follow their orders and never talk about the Bill of Rights again. I mean, how deceived is that, Pastor?
You're as deceived as you can be if you think that's the truth, because the Constitution of the United States is the official law of the land. And anybody that tells us that we should not follow the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which protects us from tyranny, we have automatically laid down and said, tyrants, take over.
And Pastor Smith, I have two for you and a fast one for you, Alex, if there's time. Pastor Smith, I'll just fire them out. Have you seen Dr. Catherine Albrecht's RFID treatise on the brink of a mark? And also, I'm a bit of a novice religiously. I know some about it, but if I was to go to speak to pastors one-on-one and try to find out where they're at on this whole subject of Romans 13 and all that, what's your best recommendation for the things that I should say to them?
Well, I'm not familiar with the first question you asked.
Okay.
And the second question, I can tell you frankly and honestly, for years and years, you will not get a straight answer. If you go to ministers and try to tell them anything about Romans 13, you will not get anywhere. I found that to be the truth.
Any other suggestion then?
Well, if you do have somebody that's willing just to sit down and be very polite and courteous and listen to what you say, then my suggestion would be that you just mention to them that the Constitution is the official document, the government of the United States, and that shouldn't we be following it and not just all of these laws that are being passed that are illegal.
Well, that's right. And turn it on its head. They claim Romans 13. Let's say that that's a right interpretation to lick the boots of government. Well, then why aren't the people running our government licking the boots of the Constitution? They're overthrowing it. They are the rebels, Pastor.
That's right.